Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are going to take a look at Sephiroth. So we're going to do a character guide and showcase on my boy Sephiroth. I know he's a fan favorite character, so people are probably interested in this guide. Sephiroth honestly is a fairly easy character to play. He's a character that I think people can just pick him up, press buttons, and do a lot of damage and feel good about it. But at the same time, there are a few intricacies to his kit that, like, if you don't understand, you could let, like, important buff fall off, or you might not stack something properly. So I think it is important to know a little bit about how his kit works to help optimize him a little bit more. Now, you can see my Sephiroth is green with blue armor. Now, my original intent wasn't to go in and green him, to be honest. When I went and looked at him, after his C90 dropped, I had blued him, I think when his LD originally came out, because I think it was fairly early on in that stage, and I wanted characters to blue, so I blued him, didn't remember that I blued him. So one thing that caused me to want to green him was the fact that I already invested the blue on him. The other thing was I used him not green, and he was doing some pretty big damage. So I'm like, all right, he's actually kind of worthy of it. He does a lot of damage. So we'll take him as just kind of a standard damage dealer, but he does do a few things, a few kind of cool things we'll talk about in this video. So let's go ahead and look at the spheres and artifacts, and then we'll jump into the showcase. So for artifacts, pretty standard. He is an attack 108 and then the C50. So the one wing angel boost is going to basically raise all of his stats at the last wave. So you want 3 108s and 3 of that because he is a big time damage dealer. You want to get as much damage as possible. And then for his spheres, he's got a triple A slot. Okay. The big thing with damage dealers in the A slot, I say this all the time, so you probably know what I'm about to say. I'm going to say attack and brave damage, right? That's pretty much the deal. Attack and max brave or brave damage max brave combos can be good too. Now, Sephiroth does have a couple of what I feel like are kind of best in slot options. So one that people really, really like on him is Edgar. And the reason why Edgar's is so good, actually Edgar's probably is the best one, not going to lie. If you can throw 3 Edgars on him, it is so good. The reason why is, one, it's one of the bigger brave damage spheres in the game, and the only requirement is debuffs. And the reason why this is so significant on Sephiroth is Sephiroth carries a gold debuff, which as of right now, I think only 3 characters in the game, Sephiroth, Kadaj, and Laguna, are the only characters in the game that carry gold debuffs. There's literally no way for the enemy to get rid of the gold debuff other than you letting it fall off. So if you play Sephiroth smartly and you understand how to keep that upkept, literally he's going to have this Edgar sphere active at all times, and this is stackable. So if you what I might do, I'm not going to lie, once I get the resources to do it, I need to actually, the resources I need is I need guard orbs, or sorry, power orbs to level up more weapons. I've got pretty much everything else, but I just need to sit and farm up some attack orbs to like level up my weapons. But I might actually like make 3 full Edgar spheres and put it on Sephiroth. He's going to have a fat 30% brave damage up all the time because he's always going to have that gold debuff on. And the thing is let's say you even let that gold debuff fall off, odds are another debuff will be sitting on the enemy somewhere. Like literally the enemy just has to have a debuff, right? So Edgar Sphere, a lot of people regard as the best. You could go 3 of those. I'm going to shout out Jack here because Jack is very good. Because it is a brave damage and attack rolled into 1 sphere. The numbers aren't as high, but you're getting both of them. This is the refined one, by the way. I believe on the full sphere, you're getting 5% of each. Jax is one of the best generic A spheres in the game, because dealing a crit is a very easy thing to do. You just have to, either the character naturally crits throughout their kit, or with a Kate Sith call, or when enemies are broken, they're guaranteed crits. So this can be a nuisance when the enemies can't be broken, which that has been a trend lately. So if enemies can't be broken, you're not activating this a lot, which is why I think Edgar's got the edge, because you can always activate it. Nobody in the game up to this day in JP has ever been immune to gold debuffs, and they have never given enemies a way to get rid of a gold debuff. So gold debuffs are like ultimate, which is why they haven't done many of them in the game. So yeah, Edgar Sphere is king here, I would say. So that's what I'd recommend for Sephiroth. All right, let's go ahead and hop in. We'll go ahead and look at the showcase here. Sephiroth, something I do like about Sephiroth. Whoops, I actually backed out too far. All right, let's go right here. He does have one of the more unique burst effects in the game, and I do really like him for his burst effect. His burst effect basically makes it so that basically after each action, whether it's yours or the enemies, it just resets the enemy's brave to 1 no matter what. So you can basically go through a chain while Sephiroth while his burst effect is up, you can just literally chain breaks on enemies and just break them, basically delay through breaking. And so Sephiroth can combo very well with turn stealers. So if you wanted to bring, say, like Shulk, who can take a bunch of turns in the row, or Terra, you combo that with this debuff and you're pushing the enemy back for days and days and days and days. Now, I'm not going to do that in this video. That's just something you can do with him. What we saw in DE9 is pushing enemies back doesn't always work, because there are a lot of orbs or mechanics where the enemies have to take turns. You might not want to push them back a lot. So Sephiroth does not synergize well with characters that want the enemies to take turns. So like the fact that they had him paired up with like Galoof and DE9, they actually desynergized. Like I tried doing runs with Galoof and Sephiroth, and I found myself with the burst effect like wanting to break out of order because I needed the enemies to take turns. I needed them to attack, because you want characters like Realm and Galoof to be attacked so that they get more turns and that you get free damage and you get free turns, because the turn counts are crazy in some of these newer, harder contents, right? Okay, so Sephiroth here, what you want to do is, Sephiroth has 3 stacking buffs. So they were pushing this really hard in DE9 that they wanted you to have stacking buffs. And I believe this was on the right side. I wouldn't summon for Sephiroth to say, oh, I want a character with stacking buffs. They just randomly put that into an orb to make you pull for him. But I don't think the stacking buffs are a reason to pull for Sephiroth. I would say the reason you pull for him is if you want a big time damage dealer and you like that gold debuff and you like the burst effect. Those to me are the real pluses of Sephiroth. Now you can see the enemies start with the gold debuff right away. And it's this cellular erosion. And basically it's got a 10% max brave sap, so it's basically like a poison. So that is nice, because that is an orb ticker. There are a lot of orbs that want like sap effects on them. So that is a good orb effect. And then brave damage taken 30%. So it does make your party hit harder. Sephiroth, by the way, is a good call for that if you want to throw that gold debuff on as a call. It's actually not a bad call to get that free brave damage in the fact that it's gold, right? Now, what you want to do is you want to start with the 15 or 35, because what he has is one of his stacking buffs is the Reunion buff. Genova. That's the one we're going to talk about first. The Genova buff you want to get up first, and that comes from the 15 and 35. So basically by using those, you're going to be able to get that up to 5 stacks. So Fervent Blow, we'll use that first. This one does have high turn rate, so you can see it just moved up a little bit there on the chart. So sometimes you can steal turns with it by getting pushed up. But that adds 2 stacks. And then his Octaslash will add 1 stack or 2 stacks if you break or attack a broken enemy. So pretty much going to be 2 stacks. But I like to lead with Fervent Blow just because it's good AoE damage, and typically the enemies are unbroken on the very first turn and you could break them both. Let's go ahead and swap with Rem, and we're going to get Sephiroth up again. Now, Octaslash, if I'm like in between turns or nothing I specifically want to use, Octaslash to me is the better damage dealing move. Like in the right setups, Octaslash is hitting over 1 mil damage on its own. It's kind of crazy. We'll use it here. I'm not like in an optimal setup, so I'm not expecting like 1 mil here, but let's see what it does. It's going to be a lot though. Yeah, it was over 1 mil, 1.1 mil with splash. Like that's why I green this guy, because I started doing these attacks. I'm like, dear Lord, that is a lot of damage, right? So yeah, I was very, very impressed with that actually. And what I found out was, he does a lot of damage, but he doesn't like get any free turns or anything, which I found hurt me in DE9. So like, I did runs with Prish, and I'm like, well, why? My turn count was so much better with Prish, and I'm like, well, Sephiroth is doing comparable, if not better damage than Prish, but Prish has free turns baked into her kit. That's why it was better, but with Prish, it was hard to like get the orbs, so I was struggling with those runs also. But Sephiroth, his damage is crazy good, right? So that was the 15 and 35, and now you can see just by using those each once, we got that Genova maxed out. So usually I like to start and get Genova maxed out right away. Basically what it does is it does do a speed down on the enemies, but it increases Sephiroth's speed, attack, and max brave. And the more it stacks, the better it gets. So I like opening and kind of getting that set up. And then after that, depending on where the enemies are, it really depends on what you want to do. But we'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and show off the LD here. So the LD, it's going to do a lot of damage. Yeah, 760 AoE. So that's like a 1.5 mil damage in one turn. pretty darn good, right? Good damage. But what that does is it reapplies the gold debuff, and it's actually an 8-turn debuff. So when you start the fight, you get it for 4 to kind of get you going, which I like that because it gives you time to set up your 15 and 35 to get that up to 5 stacks, right? Now he's got another stacking buff I haven't talked about yet, and that's Reunion. So the Reunion buff is, well, actually he's got a couple of them. So the Bringer of Despair, that's from the LD. So that starts at 2 stacks, but he gets 3 stacks when he uses the LD. So it's just going to max out right. Oh, wait, hold on. No, that one didn't max out right away. I'm thinking of the other one, sorry. But let's go ahead and look at that. So this is the Bringer of Despair. It got, oh yeah, that just goes up 1 with each turn. So that gets maxed out pretty quick, just as using Sephiroth, that gets maxed out. But that comes from the LD, okay? And then the other one I want to talk about is, let me go ahead and do Rem's turn here quick. We'll swap back in the Sephiroth. The other one actually comes from the EX. So that's the Reunion one. So what the Reunion one does is it just gives more stats. So it's going to give Max Brave and Brave regen to Sephiroth. I think it's better as it stacks. So it starts off at 2 stacks, and the way you increase this by using the EX. The EX gives it 3 stacks. So basically you get 1 EX use, and that's going to be maxed out. And that's basically what you do there. And then that Bringer of Despair, that's the one that comes from the LD. Once again, that just stacks with each attack, but that gives an HP damage up, and then attack Max Brave and Brave Gain and Brave Steel up on Sephiroth. So when you have all of those maxed out, he's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and just use the green burst attack here. Well, no, I've got the EX, so sure, let's use the EX. So this should gold frame, or not gold frame, but yeah, you can see it upgraded that, and now they're at 5 stacks. So the buffs on Sephiroth, remember with the new HUD update they did, they don't, the gold doesn't mean they're actually gold framed, it just means they're maxed out. Gold framed, like the debuff is where it has a gold outer frame. That's totally different. So let's go ahead and swap back into Sephiroth again. All right, and what I'll do is I'll skip the burst phase and we'll just do the burst attack. That way we can have shown everything off here, because this is really cool. So once again, with the free turn, I would use it depends. So like if you're in something like DE9, I was finding myself always wanting to use Octaslash pretty much with the free attack, because that's like his strongest attack. And if you're in an event where you can run out of skills, that's what I would use it on. Now you could use the AA. The AA just gives him a really nice attack buff on it, so you could do that. So I'll just use the AA because I haven't yet. So I'll give him an attack up. Okay. And then let's go ahead and just do the burst attack here. So like I said, this is going to do a lot of damage, just like other burst attacks do. But we get that really crazy burst effect now where the enemies are always going to reset to 1. And you're going to see how we can kind of push them back. I might do a little shenanigans here with Cisne and Rem. It's not like Cisne isn't a part of a combo like this. Cisne you actually want to go like last and like or not attack a lot. But let's say you had like Rem and a turn stealer. You totally could like kind of play around with this. Okay, so I've got Rem up right now. So like let's say I swap turns. So let's do that. Let's swap into Cisne. Okay, now Rem is going to go through. And she's going to break. Okay, now watch. So reset to 1. So it like unbreaks, right? So you can do some crazy combos with this. And so now Cisne is going to do a turn. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so then she breaks. Hers was only single target. I should have done the LD. But no, we got it there. Okay, perfect. With the follow-up. Okay, and then you can basically just... As long as Sephiroth's burst effect is up, they're literally going to keep getting reset. So I literally could just keep breaking and breaking and breaking and pushing back. So that can be a really good delay method. And so if you guys have heard of like the Ida-Roth combo, basically they have an infinite combo where like Ida, when she breaks during this combo, she gets a free turn and she just keeps attacking and auto breaking because Sephiroth keeps resetting, and then it's like an infinite combo and Ida just attacks forever. I don't recommend doing it because you're not really playing the game at that point. You're just kind of cheesing it, but it's something people have like abused. But I think just running Sephiroth casually and just using this effect is very, very fun. I do really, really like it. So I can go ahead and just like pop an LD here, push him back a little bit. The other place that Sephiroth's burst is actually very useful, which they did highlight in the right path on DE9, is enemies that like you have to instant break. So they'll do enemies where they make your brave damage 1 and there's literally no way to break them unless you let them attack and dump their brave, or you have to instant break them. This essentially acts as an instant brave because And it's not even a gravity either. Like, the enemies can't get around it. It's technically not gravity. It's not brave shaving. It just literally, whatever their brave value is, whether it's broken, it's at 0, it could be at 9,999, it could be capped. It just always resets it to 1. So that's just really busted. Because then, if it's reset to 1, it doesn't matter if you're only doing 1 brave damage, you're going to break them. And then a lot of times those bosses lose their buff, and then you can do damage to them again. So that's the other thing they really highlighted with Sephiroth, is you can really use that as like an instant break, essentially. The one thing that's really nice, too, is that that a little update he got was his EX used to not break. It was just gravity, because his EX is also good for that. It basically does 100% gravity, but it used to leave them at 0. So we'll do it right here. This used to not break, but it actually breaks now, which I actually like. It makes him a little bit more useful and very good damage, right? Like 770k AoE is very good damage. So basically with Sephiroth, to summarize, like, there isn't a specific turn order other than I like getting that Genova buff maxed out. So I like starting with Fervent Blow and Octaslash right away. And then from there, you're just upkeeping the gold buff and upkeeping his own buffs, right? Oh, low battery. We're good, though. Upkeeping his buffs. That's really all you need to do. And then just let Sephiroth pour on the damage. You time the burst effect when you need it, and you're basically good to go. So anyways, guys, let me know if this guide helps. Let me know if you have any other questions, or maybe you have other tips on Sephiroth that I missed on in the video. I'm not perfect, so if you have any other tips for people maybe watching the video to read about Sephiroth, let them know. I have a Discord. If you want to hop into my Discord, it is in the description. It's open to anyone. Dokkan on DFFOO, so that unique combo. If you play both games especially, feel free to jump into my Discord, get some help. I do reply a lot on there. Like, I'm pretty active in there, so I try to reach out. I appreciate all of you that watch my videos and like my content and all that, so I feel it's important for me to actually, like, comment and respond to you guys, because you guys are why I'm doing this, why I'm doing so well. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all in the next one.